Libra too, my most hand rising one. We are doing live readings here. Yeah, a lot of Gemini risings, like rightfully so, given the circumstances, literally. Lots of change on the horizon for them, for sure. And then on top of the fact that, like, if you have, not Scorpio, if you have Gemini placements that are getting impacted, especially early degree ones, it's a big time. It's a big time for you. I have to send this invoice really quick. But yeah, so if anyone wants a live reading on here, I don't time them, but I make sure everything that needs to be said gets said. Like, everyone who watches these knows I'm like a motor mouth and I do not leave anything out. And they are recorded and then posted on YouTube, so you can rewatch them later. And if someone is maybe hesitant to get a reading or needs something more affordable, I have plenty of reports on my website, like other options for getting your astrological insights that just won't be a direct reading but are saving you money. And that's on my website at kmoney.biz. I need to, how do I do this really quickly? I need to send this invoice. But yeah, I forgot there was a name of someone before who wanted, I know my friend Katie wanted one, and then someone else was looking for a reading as well, but they needed me to check my PayPal, I believe. Cap rising, my mom's a Cap rising. She's having some relationship stuff going on. Jupiter's wrapping up in your relationship sector. Lots of stimulation happening there over the previous year. Obviously it's different for everyone, but based off of just your rising sign alone, that's where Jupiter is occupying a lot of space. Why is this not loading, dude? I miss doing these though more. I'm gonna try to make an effort to come on here, like at the very least maybe twice a week, 2 or 3 times a week. My brother just left the family plan on her iPhone. I'm not sure what that means or what sort of reaction I'm supposed to have to that. Maybe that's sad? Leaving the coop, perhaps? Guys, I need to get my Botox again. I haven't gotten it in a year. And you can tell. You can see it. My crow's feet. That's where it's really bad. I like to get it right there. And I like to get it right here. In my jaw. And I haven't gotten it in so long. Okay. What has everyone been going through? That's a good question to ask. What has everyone's circumstances been? Yes, I'm doing live readings. I just don't have one on the docket right this second. But once we get going, the list will begin, the line will begin. It's okay. This is like one of those things that's like blindly, like I low-key don't even realize it's there a lot. My mind just like sees through it somehow. Oh, I see. Okay, so it was like a dramatic door slam. My brother's a triple Aries. He's been going through it. These are astrology readings. They're live astrology readings. So I'm looking at your birth chart and I'm looking at your current transits. So we're not talking about your life overall unless it's relevant. We're talking about what you are currently going through. So what's happened recently and what's on the way. Oh, thank you, Nikki, sweetheart, darling. Investments, friendships, wanting a change in my role at work. I mean, this is, I always feel like spring and fall, granted they're the transitionary months, so it makes sense, the transitionary seasons, are always where things get picked up and put down and replaced, and then summer and winter sort of carry us through. The tag is Cash App. You're not too late, honey bun. I just started. I literally just got on here. Oh, that's what I needed to do. Guys, see, I need to like do these in the daytime and take my Adderall because I always like am trying to do something on here and then I get too caught up talking. I need to send this invoice and then we will begin with the readings. If you want one, that's all you have to do. Just send the 85 to the Cash App, and then either in the Cash App or on here, give me your birth information, and then I will pull the chart up and we will do your reading. And then once your reading is done, this is recorded, and then yes, it gets posted to my YouTube channel. So if you remember that you got a reading from me 8 months from now and you're like, what the fuck did she say? You can go back and watch it. It will be dated, because I know I say a lot of information at once and I know it can be overwhelming. I will do more lives in the future. Really, the timing just depends on, like, as long as my paid readings, like, throughout my normal clientele are met, I will come on here. Like, sometimes I'll come on here when if I have readings uploading or something and I, like, actually can't do anything on my laptop or phone. In the meantime, I'll come on here and pop in and do these, because they're not taking up content. I don't have to, like, process a video or anything like that. Dahlia, we can do yours here if you want to just knock it out now. I was going to record yours tomorrow morning, but if you would prefer this, we can do that as well. I think someone just sent something, but it actually might have just been a normal order. I don't think it was from this live, because it wasn't 85. Let me see. Let me do this invoice really quick. Unless someone in here did just buy it, you can say that was me, but I don't think it was. I think it was a totally separate purchase. This ring light, guys, it makes me, it does something, like, psychological to me in not a good way. I feel like it makes me, like, crazy and gives me a migraine. I don't get how, like, streamers, well, I guess that's different because you're, like, running around, but I don't get how streamers who sit the whole time in front of a ring light are, like, okay in the mind, which I guess maybe they're not, but it, like, drives me crazy. It makes me think of, like, how people say that, like, we used to have yellow lighting everywhere, and that, like, the blue lighting is what is making people, like, unhinged. And I'm like, is this ring light I'm using, like, doing something to my mental health? Okay, I believe that this was a random reading, so that wasn't even a live reading. But I'm glad I made another sale at least. Okay, that's certainly a problem. If you know your order number, thank you. That was literally what I was just gonna ask for. I will look it up when I get off of here, because I think I said this in the last live, but I'm not using my usual laptop. I have, like, a substitute laptop right now, and it's not compatible with Shopify, so I have to do it through my phone. I will look up your order though, and then the email attached to the order, so then I will be able to look out if you reached out over email. I'll be able to see those emails. There are people, like, still to this day, very rarely at least, that didn't get their reading in 2024 because of that massive, like, wave that I got. And that's not an excuse, that's just an explanation that, like, people slipped through the cracks, and literally 2025, I feel like, was so much of that was making up for how many people got missed in 2024. So I will certainly make sure that that gets to you with, like, stuff to make up for it as well. I will make sure it gets made up to you, I promise. Let me see. I don't think I'm going to be able to pull it up on here, but I did put it in my notes, like, on my notes on here, so I can pull it up on my actual laptop. Cowgirls. Okay, I think I saw something on Cash App. Let me refresh it. Okay, and then let me see. Oh, you put it on here. Okay, perfect. Activity. You don't need a hope, girl. I promise it'll get taken care of. I have the number and your name down. Like, I have your handle in case I need to reach out to you. But as long as that is your accurate order number and you still use the email that you checked out with, there won't be an issue in communication. Okay, let me pull up your chart, Jennifer. Also, your handle looks familiar, Jennifer. Like, have I done a reading for you before, or are you just in here sometimes? $311.99. $311.99. We have almost every single person. You can purchase the reading on Cash App. This is the little green tab is my cash tag. So it's Young Kales with 3 Z's on Cash App. $19.99. Did you? Interesting. I was gonna say, so many March babies today. I think like nearly every single person that we've done a reading for was born in March. Fort Worth. Oh, that's the other thing. So many of my clients are from Texas and Miami. Texas and Miami specifically. 11:37 p.m. Sorry it takes me so long to put the information in, guys. I have like PTSD from the maybe 2 times in my entire career I've accidentally input the wrong information and then had to do the readings all over again. Okay, 311.99, 1137 Fort Worth, Texas. 311.99, 1137 Fort Worth, Texas. Cool. Cool. Chicago. Okay, I love a Scorpio rising, my girl. Okay, Jennifer, we're doing your chart. I love a Scorpio rising because I'm a Scorpio rising, and I actually only as of the last year or so started to get a lot more Scorpio risings coming to me. I typically didn't have them as my like regular rising sign, so I get excited whenever I get them because we need to stick together. Being a Scorpio rising is not easy. It's difficult. So with that being said, the big drama, I would say currently the big drama for Scorpio risings is that Uranus moved into Gemini into our 8th house, and the joke is that it's like, oh yay, like we're getting a break from Uranus because it's been in our relationship sector for the last 8 years, 7-8 years. It entered our relationship sector spring of 2018, and Uranus through the relationship sector often brings a lot of unpredictable relationships, a lot of friendship breakups, a lot of romantic breakups, a lot of ups and downs, a lot of instability, a lot of unpredictability. People we thought we would be close with forever leave our lives, people we didn't expect to meet fall into our lap. Just a lot of juggling, chaotic, unhinged energy with the people closest to us, regardless of the nature of the relationship. So yay that we get to finish the transit, right? Like it's been here for a while now and it's leaving that area of the chart, but now it's moving into our 8th house, which yes, thankfully it's getting out of that one of those primary areas of the chart that affects us very strongly, but it's in an area of the chart that further kind of emphasizes things like intimacy and trust and the deeper, more tumultuous themes of life. It's very deep and taboo and intense and heavy and karmic, and kind of talks about our deeper fears and insecurities and how by denying those things or being avoidant towards those things, we tend to lean into vices or into escapism or secret keeping or hiding these things, tucking them away and not having to deal with them. So having Uranus come through this area of the chart, both literal and metaphorical debt and depth and death, like all triple D, is going to uproot a lot of instability, change, unusual circumstances, unpredictability, similarly to our relationship sector the last 8 years, to now things like joint finances, accessibility to other people's resources, trust, intimacy, sex, transformation, letting go of things, both literal and metaphorical death, both literal and metaphorical debt. So debt that we owe the bank, taxes, loans, but also the debt of how we are indebted to other people and owe them things, and they are indebted to us and owe us things. It's very transactional when it involves other people and the more complicated finances of life. So this is less about borrowing $20 from a friend and more about maybe taking out a loan, or taking out your first mortgage, or marrying someone and now you're merging assets. It's the intensity and intimacy of trust and transactions over the span of the next 8 years. So you might or might not have experienced like the initial like boom of it making its way in yet, because it hasn't come into contact with anything too directly in your chart yet. It will over the next few months come into a square to your IC and your MC, so the most private area of your life and then the most public area of your life. So it might have something to do with home, family, living situation, private life, even your romantic life, and then your career, your public image, or your reputation, and something about shared or joint resources or some trust or transactions that you have with other people and their resources might shake the table of like who you are, how you're recognized, or what's going on behind the curtain of your private life for whatever reason. For me, for example, like Uranus moving into my 8th house, I instantly, like literally 2 days after the transit, my car broke down, and to this day I've literally been broke from it. Like it has dug into my pockets, and I've owed so much money on this damn car in trying to fix it and trusting the wrong people, all like things like that. So it can be very practical matters if it's not emotional matters, but if it seems to be more esoteric and spiritual, it can have a lot to do with uprooting like trauma, unresolved pain and wounds, intimacy and trust issues with other people, etc. Jupiter has been going through your 9th house since last summer as well, so you've had a good year with Jupiter being in an expansive area of the chart. So it's like double expansion. Jupiter is traveling, faith, philosophy, education, exploring uncharted territory, getting outside of your comfort zone. It's opportunity, and it's going through the same area of the chart that represents those things. So getting outside of your comfort zone, it's press, it's publishing, it's media, it's using your voice, sharing your opinion, personal perspectives, it's your spiritual views, your religious views, your education, if you're going back to school, if you're studying something. And the reason I'm mentioning this too is because since last summer to now, whether you've been doing like literal textbook education or mentorship or looking up to a leader of some sort or learning something new like as a skill or a practice through like traditional education, or learning something through lived experience, like have evolved a lot since this time last year, whether that be emotionally or about what you want in life, about opportunity, about where you want to go, where you want to live, where you want to visit, the things you want to learn, the person you want to be, the impact you want to leave on the public. This is really setting up the stage for it moving into your 10th house, into Leo, as we get to this summer. So it's going to be June 30th, I believe, and we'll have a good year with this transit. And that's really going to illuminate a lot of growth and expansion with your career sector. So there might have been something since last summer to now, whether it's thinking and expanding and gaining experience with, I want to go here, I want to learn this, I want to do this, I want to become this. Now kind of setting the stage for establishing yourself in those things by taking the practical matters of independence, proving yourself, success, accomplishments, showing that it's not just a thought, a belief, or an idea, but something that you are tangibly making an impact with in a way that other people can see about you. So especially if it has to do with traveling, faith, philosophy, if you're in any industry that's like press, legal, media, sharing, content creation or consumption, reading, writing, education, ethics, perspective, guidance of some sort, foreign matters, foreign relation, language, culture, anything like that might be more relevant to your career over the span of the next year. Or it can just be that you're getting more attention and you're having more influence and more of a spotlight on you, especially in your professional life for whatever reason. It can also look like getting a promotion sometimes, or some level of accolades or attention or celebration in a professional way. Or if it has nothing to do with your career, it's that other people are seeing that you're doing well. Like it can literally just be the impact of, you're posting things on social media, and that's not to say that social media is always accurate, but like, you're walking around with something where people are starting to be like, oh, she's doing well, like she's doing good. Congratulations on the promotion. That's amazing. It was going over you said in early April, I think it was going over your vertex. And it was, oh, so actually while we're speaking, throughout the remainder of May, you have a pretty good setup because Jupiter is going to trine your sun in your 5th house, and it's also going to square your Venus. So romantically, this is one of those things where, like, if you were a celebrity and I was looking at your chart, I would be like, okay, this might be a conception window. This might be, we might see this person get pregnant or pop out with like a new idea or a new project that they're working on. It's being both literally or metaphorically pregnant or conceiving the concept, the idea of something worth celebrating, something you're bringing into the world and nourishing and growing that's taking up space. The reason I double down on saying it might be romantic or pregnancy related or like engagement or something is because it's hitting your sun. So your identity in your relationship, dating, love, sex, romance, children, pregnancy sector. It's also entertainment, self-employment, creativity, entrepreneurship. So like the things that you're really good at, your skills as an individual, as well as coming into a very supportive aspect with Venus, which is also love, sex, relationships, but it's also money. And this falls in your 6th house of health and employment. So regardless of if it's the romantic route or the professional route, it seems that you're having a lot of support regardless, to both planets, and it might be both at the same time. And if you're like, if there's any stirring of nervousness with that or overwhelm for some reason, this can just be that you have like an incredible rest of your month where it's like, I feel good, I feel supported, I feel like I'm on a winning streak, I feel like I'm set up nicely, I feel like I'm getting I'm getting my flowers, I'm getting the fruits of my labor. Like there just seems to be a growth, expansion, abundance of something in relation to your Venus and your Sun, both of which are set up pretty nicely in your chart. So, and Jupiter too rules your 5th house of love, sex, children, romance, pregnancy, creativity, joy, pleasure, all the more frivolous, fun things in life. And it also rules your 2nd house of money, finances, stability, self-worth, all of that. Yes, you're allowed to ask a question. I'm glad that you feel like you're on a winning streak for sure, because you're not even there yet. Like you're not even in the really big like woohoo like yay amazing career transit, like hasn't even started for you. So that's good. So in terms of a new path, that's kind of what I was going to get at, was the career public image transit doesn't even start until the end of June. So I'm glad to hear that you're already doing well, because with Uranus newly in that 8th house of other people's money and resources, sometimes this can indicate that you're getting a new income stream, or you're like other people are starting to pay you for your services, or because they trust you, or allocating their resources and money to you for you to handle it. So I'm not sure what industry you're in, but sometimes this can open the doors to like freelancing or signing an external contract, or someone recognizing your incredible work in your workplace and giving you a separate offer, or wanting to merge with you, partner with you. There can sometimes be business partnerships that come up with this, legal entities that begin, like opening an LLC, something like that, working in media. Okay, so that is the more financial perspective of it. In terms of like new life direction, what I will say is, I know this is going to sound contradictory, despite the fact that there's going to be a lot of rewards and abundance with Jupiter going through your 10th house with your career sector. So a lot of exciting spotlight there. The South Node is also going through your career sector. So the South Node, ironically, is what we're supposed to release and let go of, and the North Node, so what you're supposed to be focusing on for the next 18 months as we get into early fall this year, is actually your home and your family, your living situation, your private life, your emotional foundation. So the practical results of this can often manifest as like you're stepping into an era where, despite the fact that you might be doing really well and maybe even doing the best you've ever done professionally, it can be like on paper you're doing amazing, but internally you might feel like this doesn't align with me anymore, or like this is paying me really well, but of course I just don't like it anymore. I just don't have the inspiration there. Or it can be that you are getting a lot of attention, but it's affecting you in a way where you have a lot of pressure on you, or it's affecting your mental health or something like that. So a lot of your journey over the next, I would say 2 years, but really starting this summer into the second half of 2026, is kind of having you ask yourself reassessing if you're actually on the track that you wish to be on. Even if it made sense before, does it still make sense now? Because you're also going to be having, you were born in 99, so you're having something called your nodal reversal, which is where, to put it as simply as possible, the nodes in the sky are going to be in the opposite spot that they were in the moment you were born. So there's a disorienting energy where it's like things aren't right, and it's very normal. It's a coming of age transit everyone has when they turn 28, that essentially sets up, or 27, 28, essentially sets up it's like an Uno reverse card. It's like everything you thought you wanted, you just don't even want it anymore, or everything that you planned for is suddenly like no longer making sense. It's like trying to put a puzzle piece in the wrong spot. So it can feel like your life kind of gets flipped on its head, and circumstances that are very unexpected or just not as you planned for start steering you in a totally different trajectory. So I would focus less on forging or forcing a new beginning, and more so being open-minded to rolling with the punches that things you maybe didn't expect to come onto your plate do, and might be even better than what you initially planned for. And then on top of that, also learning how to balance doing really well in your professional life and feeling actually at home and comfortable in your true authentic self, because there might be a little bit of a battle between the two for whatever reason. So really trying to balance those efforts. That's not an inherently bad transit. It's just one that can often feel those efforts. That's not an inherently bad transit. It's just one that can often feel disorienting, where it's like, those are the late 20s blues of like, what am I doing? Am I behind? Am I even doing the right thing? Like, is this who I am? Is this what I want? And it's not worth losing sleep over, but I think having the foresight that that's coming too can be reassuring and give you the validation that, like, even if you feel like you're on the wrong path, you're on the right path, because you're on the path you're supposed to be on. But there's a lot to look forward to, I'll say that. Saturn too, and Neptune are moving through your 6th house of work, health, and employment. Oh, thank you. I'll try to be on here more. I'm trying to, I'm always saying that. But Saturn and Neptune now being in your work, health, and employment sector as well kind of play into the mix of like this combination of feeling very lost in terms of employment and how you take care of yourself, and maybe what's going on metaphysically, noticing that when you burn yourself out, you have a mental breakdown, or noticing that when you are doing really, really well, you're also really, really tired, or when you do this sort of work, you feel energized and excited, and then when you do this sort of work, you're feeling burnt out. Like, really pay attention to those cues physically, because it's trying to communicate something to you. But then on top of that, there's a contradictory need to be a little bit more disciplined and start to be responsible and really structure your day-to-day life to support your long-term goals, and how every decision you make on a day-to-day basis is going to lead to what you are, who you are, what you're doing, where you're at 6 months from now. And that's also not to say like this isn't encouraging like a hustle mindset, like no sleep, no rest. Like, that's not what I'm encouraging at all. If anything, I'm kind of encouraging you to lean into rest more often and engage with the things that give you energy, and that will give you the answer to like, what is my most authentic work, what is my most fitting path, what is truly aligned with me. Even if you have to make come to the face of these decisions of like a really good financial offer and then a really fulfilling one, and maybe the fulfilling one pays less, it will literally be more rewarding for you to pick the fulfilling path. But again, with that being said, Saturn going through the 6th house doesn't ask you to work harder, but to work smarter. Like, if you need more sleep and you know that, set a bedtime. If you know by 2 p.m. every day you start to get that burnout feeling because you don't eat breakfast, maybe you should start eating breakfast. Like, it kind of asks you to get back to those boring, tedious adulthood basics, and how we don't have those rules for no reason. They're there to set you up for success. And then we'll celebrate at the end of the Saturn and Aries transit, because it ends with your Saturn return, which is going to be probably the end of 2027, somewhere in 2028. But that's pretty much like all the advice for you. I really don't have anything bad to say. You had Saturn recently, like very recently, go over your Mercury and your Jupiter. Sometimes that can be legal issues, or it can feel like something that is typically free flowing and allows you freedom and open-mindedness got like serious or restricted for whatever reason. And Saturn going over Mercury sometimes can just be about like a week of like loneliness, depression, negativity, or just feeling like limited circumstantially, like not having your car for a week or something, or having to get surgery so you can't like physically run your typical errands for a little bit or something. It doesn't have to be the worst thing in the world. It can be a dispute with a friend, but you're past that. So the harder Saturn transits have already occurred for you. The last one I'll say is that you actually do have one coming up, and I'm glad that I'm catching it right before I jumped the gun. But Saturn's gonna square your moon, which is a typically difficult transit. It's not gonna last that long, at the most maybe like a week or two, and you will have a retrograde of this later in the year. But it looks like it's gonna be the last week of May. Saturn, when Saturn squares your moon, yeah, it's going to be the last week. It's going to be the last few days of May and the first few days of June. When Saturn squares your moon, there can be some difficulties or tension with the home, family, or living situation, or the relationship with your mom, with motherhood, fertility, reproductive organs, your physical body. This can be simply getting sick. This can be getting some sobering news that like hurts your heart a little bit, perhaps makes you like a little lonely or depressed. It can be dealing with some sort of physical issue because it is going through your employment sector as well as your health sector. I would think it's not as serious as like losing a job. It could be an issue with a coworker or with a friend, like some sort of issue with communication that maybe puts you in a rough spot for like a week or so. Home, family, body, living situation, your general comfort and emotional feel-good energy might for some reason be stunted, restricted. Okay, so I would maybe, like if there's someone watching your house, if there's something that you need to protect in the house or something like that, I would just make sure you're taking preventative measures, whatever that means to you, for the physical house. If it's not about the property, emotionally there might be something. I would just tread lightly. I would tread lightly on the work trip. Not because I think that you're going to be the conflict, but there might be something that just sort of puts a chip on your shoulder, or maybe puts you in a bad headspace, or feels restrictive or authoritative to some degree, like a slap on the wrist for something, even if it's not justified. Like that's the sort of energy that can come up with this. But again, it's very short-lived, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. And you know when the dates are, so you'll be able to navigate it a lot easier. But okay, I'm gonna leave you with that. That was the last thing I wanted to say. I didn't want to miss that as I was getting out of it. But I hope that was helpful for you. And I'm glad that you love getting readings from me. I love giving them to you guys. And this will be uploaded as well. It might be a few days. I'm gonna be honest, it might be a few days, but it will be up there by the weekend, within the weekend. I think I saw another one come in, but I might be wrong. Guys, this literally is driving me crazy. And this is the lowest setting. I feel like it's still so bright. Thank you, girl. If anybody else would like a reading, you can just cash out the hashtag, the banner here. It's Young Kills with 3 Z's. Just make sure you do the 3 Z's. It's not 1, it's 3. And then I can get your birth information and we can go from there. Also, a lesson I learned today that maybe someone else needs to hear. I don't know why I feel like I'm supposed to say this. I kind of always assume, because I'm very ADHD, I'm very, as much as I try very hard to pay attention, to know exactly what's going on, to be locked in and engaged with everything, I do sometimes slip on details, like, not because I'm not paying attention. I don't know. I guess I have an insecurity. Like I've always had a deeper insecurity that I'm doing something wrong, or that if there's like a mistake or something, it must be my fault. Like it must have been something idiot me messed up, which is like a very bad way to think. But I was supposed to be paid for something. Like I sent an invoice like 3 or 4 weeks ago for work that I did on these articles, and I was supposed to get paid for them like immediately. And this whole time I was wasting time being like, oh, like they definitely got the invoice, like they probably just don't have the funds yet, or maybe it's just processing slowly, or perhaps this person is still sending it to the next person. Like I kind of assumed everybody did their job and this was just me being impatient and annoying, even though it's been a full month and I haven't been paid for my work. But I reached out to them and I was like, hey, just wanted to check on the invoice. And they were like, oh yeah, this was supposed to be paid weeks ago. Like, can you just send it over again? Like, this was supposed to be, you were supposed to already have this. And it was just a silly little lesson that I often get faced with, where I'm like, if only I had spoke up a month ago, I would have had this money already. Like, I need to stop assuming that things are my fault, or that I'm like doing something wrong when I'm doing everything right, and then being like, no, it must be me. Like, it is difficult. And it's not even like, what's bad about it is I'm not even being like self-conscious per se. I'm not being like ragging on myself and being like, oh, you're such an idiot. It's just me being like, I take doing my job very seriously. Like I never want to screw someone else over, so I'm always like triple checking that I'm not doing something wrong, and I always assume that everyone else is doing that, and I'm often reminded that most people aren't. And like, maybe I just have bad luck with this or bad experience with this, but like I have a handful of instances like this over the last few months where I literally have like gotten off the phone so many times with someone and been like, can people do their fucking, why am I doing your job for you? Like, why don't you know these things? Why am I having to go get these answers? Why am I having to do these extra steps? Like, oh my God. But it was just another lesson in that. My hair is like sitting so weird. So I don't know if anyone else needed to hear that, but that kind of made me be like, Kayla, the next time this happens, you need to say something immediately. I am doing live readings, so if you would like an actual live reading, we can do one. You can cash up the handle right here. It's Young Kills with 3 Z's, and we can go from there. Also, for anybody watching who knows me from TikTok, please follow my Twitter, because that is where all of my predictions are. Like, all of them. All of them are recorded on Twitter, on X, I should say. It's just the quickest place for me to document them instead of like always having to hop on camera. So if you're like maybe watching and you're like, one day I'll get a reading from her, I just want to make sure she's legit, that is the place to go, because that is where I'm clocking shit every day. If you mean horoscopes in terms of personal readings, I'm still actively doing them. I have like an open spot to do one right now. If you want, for anyone who's listening, if you want like a PDF of your horoscope for the entire year, just based off of your rising sign, you can get them on my website. Very affordable. I want to say it's like $34. And it's a maybe 19-page PDF of every major transit that we're having this year for your rising sign, 10 predictions that are like foolproof, probably going to happen per major transit, and like where we're having the eclipses, what area of your life is getting activated with those. And it's a reference PDF, like you can look at it at any point of the year and it'll give you direction. Oh my God, I love that you're saying that. That's so funny. Thank you. Mars and Jupiter, Sagittarius. Absolutely. Yeah, that's a really great combination. I actually really like that a lot, because Jupiter's broadcasting, Mars is literally sports, athletics. I think that would be a very good combination, especially in the 5th house. Oh, is it hantavirus? Is that how you say it? Hantavirus? I'm not the person to speak to you about the logistics of it all. I don't know a thing about it. And personally, with where my head is at right now, because I'm in a high stress situation, like high stress period of my life, I don't like to read about things that are just gonna spike my cortisol for no reason until I need to worry about them. So I have not done any research on it. I saw that like people were worried about it the other day, and then just took that as a green light for me to like not look into it any further, because I'm just gonna get paranoid. In terms of the astrology, Neptune in Aries for sure. I mean, Neptune in Aries is like 14 months long. I mean, 14 years long. But Neptune in general is like illness, widespread illness, disease, death, loss. It could be mass suicide. It could be oh shit, I'm gonna get flagged for saying that. It could be mass delusion. It could be mass illness. It could be mass, loneliness epidemic. So it's an easy call to be like, oh yeah, there might be an epidemic with Neptune and Aries now. If you had to get specific, you could say it has to do with like things regarding the head and the face or the skull or the brain. Uranus and Gemini is also shock and unpredictability with the way that we are collectively connected. So like, if it's, to my understanding, this isn't a contact virus, but perhaps this variant is, or something like that. It has to do with the abrupt pivot of the way that we contact one another physically and information-wise. Shocking news that shakes the public. The lives get uploaded to YouTube. And my YouTube should be on Kills. YouTube is like weird because they don't really do, like, I don't think they do handles. Maybe they do. But if you search Young Kills TikTok, it'll come up. Eclipses, I'll say eclipses in Aquarius have to do with people at large. And eclipses are quite dramatic. Major endings and beginnings with that. So maybe that's something that could be relevant. But the thing is, if you're looking at like Vedic astrology, Saturn might still be might have been moved into Pisces when it moved into Aries for us. Probably not directly on the same dates, but like Saturn in Pisces is very much pandemic, epidemic, illness. So if you're going by that system, you can force it to make sense in that way. Career stuff, yeah. I mean, we had eclipses in February. The next ones are going to be in probably August, September. So anything that you start trying to figure out in February will likely start to fall into place and come full circle as we get into early fall, particularly if it had anything to do with your career. This feels so good. I like need a head massage. But